Good morning. It's almost time to just take care of Dusty. I get to vacuum Dusty.
I know, just cleaning him, waxing him, vacuuming him, getting rid of stuff we've been carrying for months, wishing we didn't have it with us, to put it, get rid of it, put it in the storage unit. Sounds so good. And then, he's done over 30,000 miles, and we did all the basic things we had initially planned, but now it's time for the stuff that I had put off on purpose.
Yeah.
Timing belt, water pump, axle rebuilds.
Get Dusty totally dialed in. That's also the name of an episode, Tim.
Oh!
But yeah, we've been living out of him long enough now that we kind of know, things we want to change and all that, so.
Nothing major, but also a big one, actually. I keep forgetting this one, and it's a massive one. And I'll remember it as soon as I have all the parts in my hand, is installing a winch. And so we're so often off on our own that we definitely want to have a winch in Dusty, and we always have. But we didn't have the actual winch itself yet, and so Warren hooked us up big time.
Yeah.
Factor 55 helped us get that hookup, and so we're going to have a nice new winch on Dusty, but I have to build the winch tray, the fair lead, kind of set it all up within this bumper, because this bumper's so light, we want to keep it. We don't want to add any unneeded weight, which we'll be adding weight with a tray and a winch, but let's keep it as minimal as possible. So
our winch is sitting in Tonto right now waiting for us.
Yeah, sitting in the back of Tonto at our buddy Brent's house, and so we got a lot to do. Yeah,
a lot of things to sort out and organize and make and fix, and we'll take you guys along for all of that.
Yeah.
I'm Kelsey, that's Tim, and this is our rolling home Dusty. We hit the road full-time a few years ago to follow our dreams of driving around the world, and we headed south. We did it! COVID brought us back to the States, but there is plenty of adventure to be had here while we wait out the pandemic. So come along and enjoy this crazy ride we call life. We are doing some work on Dusty. Just all the maintenance that we've kind of put off and needs to be done before we truly head out of the country for a longer period of time. So we're at a friend's Brent's shop and just working on some random stuff this morning.
This a whole lot better. So instead of it hanging over here and then flexing and then like a credit card it just snaps again and again, we're gonna have a 90-degree right here and then weld to the side of the exhaust and use better metal. A little over 90, but that's all right. So, I think we're going to be good. Yeah. Basically, this exhaust mount is double the thickness of what it used to be, and then it's at a 90 holding the exhaust pipe down like this, wiggling, versus it was strapped over it, and it was bending it too much like a credit card, and it would snap again and again and again. So, I think this is going to be good, but, we'll have to... The run through Baja will tell us, all those corrugated roads, and if it still looks fine, I think we've fixed it semi-permanently. I never say permanently with exhaust because I feel like I've never owned a truck that you off-road a lot that doesn't break exhaust hangers. So bigger water filter. So we were going from a little 5-inch Pentec to a 10, but also in the 10 they sell high flow half micron filters, and we had a normal 5-inch and it was so restrictive we had to change it pretty often because it was a small filter, that our water pressure's been significantly down, because this truck didn't run half micron. It was running a filter to keep the water nice, like a carbon filter, but it wasn't assuming you were sort of like in Africa or Australia outback with a well filling from well water or something questionable. And so we're trying to sort of upgrade it so you can get questionable water. Little fuel filter for the auxiliary tank. Had one of these on Goose as well. But since we didn't know the condition of these tanks, we've done a lot of that biological, anti-biological bacteria growth stuff that can grow in diesel. We've done the anti-sludge stuff in case there was some nasty sort of gunk at the bottom, trying to, re-liquefy it, I guess. And then, yeah. So we haven't had any troubles pumping this fuel into the main tank, which is how this works. It doesn't pull from the main or from the auxiliary tank to the engine, just like on Goose. It transfers from here into the main, so you can refill your tank. We haven't had any issues, but I feel like until we've done a bunch of tanks through it, which we've now done, I don't know, 100 tanks through it or something crazy, I feel like now when I change it, it should be good for a long time. But that first one, you never really trust.
We'll see what's inside the little... He's still got a Christmas wreath on him.
Oh yeah. So air filter looks clean, which is kind of surprising because the last thing this car did was the Arizona Peace Trail last year, if you saw those videos. Everything else looks pretty good. Just gonna check the oil, the radiator. I just don't want to start it up and have an issue when we shouldn't have any issues. So, but I'm hoping he's all right. I don't know how the battery will be because, again, didn't disconnect it or anything. Weren't expecting to be gone more than like 2 months, and then bam, 8-10 months, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Happens, and we're back. So
mostly just a lot of spider webs, it looks like. So
yeah, I don't mind the spiders.
Do a little clean, and he's good as new.
Yeah.
Happy to see little Tonto again.
That's definitely going to be time to watch him.
Yeah.
All right.
He does it again. Little Tonto is amazing.
Like no battery power at all. That's the gear reduction starter that we installed. That's the only thing we've done in this truck in like 5 years now, improvement-wise, is the gear reduction starter to replace the original. Yep. Amazing.
Love this truck.
Love this truck.
Just a little.
Just a wee bit of dust.
Look at all the goodies in the back.
Yeah. Thank you, Warren. Cannot wait to start putting all this on. Gonna be awesome. Hello. So we have been going pretty crazy on both Tonto and Dusty. Tonto, we're just doing basic maintenance, and his auxiliary fuel tank, we've cleaned it out in muriatic acid and gravel to get all the bits loose, and it was always putting rust or rusty fuel in through the engine and some rusty bits, so we're always changing filters. We finally pulled that, and we're going to retire the auxiliary tank in him, and if we can afford it, we'll get a new one. If not, his main tank is nice and clean, so at least we have that. But before any big trips in him, we'll probably get a new tank, auxiliary tank. For Dusty, it's just everything I want to do while it's easy, and so we're going to rebuild the front axle, rear axle, all the U-joints. I need to build a winch tray and install a winch into this bumper, so wire it and build a tray, weld it onto the frame rails, or bolt it on the frame rails but weld it up, and then we're going to do water pump, timing belt, all the accessory belts, all the accessory pulleys, what else, all the tie rod ends, so all the steering end links. I feel like there's more, and then we ordered a whole bunch of oil filters, a bunch of fuel filters, new air filter. We're going to do all the lug nuts on this are kind of mismatched over the years. Some people probably lost one and changed out to another one, so we're going to do all OEM lug nuts, and I might start switching out all the lug studs too, just so they're fresh. It looks like somebody at some point was using an air gun and really giving a lot of ooga-doogas to the lug nuts, and so might change those out. The shocks, this truck rides really well, but the shocks are essentially fairly blown out after the 35,000 miles we've thrown at it in off-roading, or a lot of it off-roading anyways, the mapping work we did. So we'll probably, if we can afford to, get new shocks before we leave to head anywhere too far. I think that's about it, but there's probably some more. So we're really going through it. We just did transmission fluid, transfer case fluid. Of course, the diffs we'll do when we rebuild them with all the We're going to do wheel bearings while we're at it. Whatever. I could keep thinking of things, but we're spending a ton of money because we realized on the first trip with Goose how much easier and cheaper it is to do everything ourselves here in the US. So a lot of things are more expensive in the US, but really all these parts and the ability to do all of them is so much cheaper here than trying to wing it and find something that sort of kind of works when you're in another country. So that's what we're up to. We'll video as much as we can as we go. Right now today we're trying to do the hard line and the soft line for the clutch. Hard line's pretty rusty and like dinged and messed up. It's probably all original. The soft line's also original. So we find our clutch fluid turns pretty dark and sooty pretty quickly. So I think that's the inside of that soft line, rubber line dying and getting eaten away. So that's what we're up to today and over the next few weeks. Wish us luck.
All right, today it's time to install the winch, and we have a winch from Warren. We have the front bumper off right now. We're going to try to fit the winch inside of that, so we'll have to cut and fabricate a little bit, but it looks like it should work. We'll see how quick and easy it is, but that's today's project. So
treat time. The one thing the desk is definitely missing, and now we have it. We just got to install it. Beautiful. Love it.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to start seeing how we're going to mount it, where it's going to fit. We're going to try and integrate it into the existing bumper so we can keep it all as light as weight as possible. So we'll go ahead and pull this off. Day one, yeah, it took us all day, but we got it in here. So we had to like machine these to give ourselves like that ½ inch of travel out, but I didn't want to just waller the holes. So Brent used the mill to cut that a little bit. We had to cut this bracket so this housing would clear it.
But it's in there. Now
Yeah, it's in there.
Do the bumper.
Yep, now we just have to do the fair lead, cut all the bits out of the bumper, wire everything, spool on the line, and then we should be good.
Yeah. We did it. All right, rebuilding the rear axle.
Yeah, rebuilding the rear axle. Nothing ever goes quite to plan when I'm doing axles. I feel like our rotors have a pretty good lip and we could put new rotors on. And then at the back of the spindle, there's a little line on both sides. And so my buddy Brent, who knows a lot more than me, is going, I'd put a wear sleeve on there. Can't get them, supply chain issues.
Yeah.
Earliest would be a week or two. So we're putting it back together. Worst case scenario then, we just have to pull the rotor off, separate it from the hub, get a new rotor on, and then while that's off, put the wear sleeve on the spindle, put it all back together. But then the seals and the bearings and all that wouldn't have to be touched. So at least all that is still worthwhile. But a little frustrating because every time you pull an axle part that you've never pulled apart, you have no idea what you're going to find. This isn't that bad. It's not like ruined or beat up severely. It's just not as...
We can't get all the parts to make it perfect quite.
Yeah. But I swear every time I've ever pulled one apart, it's never quite perfect.
No.
I mean, Goose was not perfect, but it was like there was nothing wrong with it.
At least now it has
wouldn't leak.
fresh grease and we
Yes.
know what's in there and what we probably need to get. But we don't film a whole lot of it because it's pretty greasy. And so
Yeah,
it's hard to pick
and
up
it's
the
a big
camera.
cover.
But
We got a while to go, so we got to go.
yeah. And we're recording.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are taking a break from working on Dusty to go have some fun. And we're headed to Baja.
We're headed to this year's Baja 1000.
Yeah.
Should be good.
Yeah.
Good shakedown for Dusty. We've done so much work that I'm picturing the U-joints I installed with the help of my buddy Brent spinning beneath us, and I'm going, man, they're spinning fast. I hope I did all that right. So I know we did everything right. I'm sure it's all fine, but every wheel bearing, every trunnion bearing, every axle seal, every U-joint is all fresh, and they're all stuff we did. So we've done it before, but it doesn't matter. When you do these maintenance things only every 5 years, you're not like a mechanic who does it all the time.
You have to remember how to do it, yeah.
You almost relearn it and go, oh yeah, that's how you do that. Okay, I remember now. So I hope everything's good.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Well, guys, that's it for this episode. Thanks for coming along. If you're a patron or YouTube member, there will be a special episode about our experience at this Baja 1000. For everyone else, we'll catch up with you after the race as we camp our way back to some more truck work. After some Baja adventures, of course.
I'm recording.
We'll see you then.